just ran across this guy, and I just was compelled to expose this bullshit. And folks, you're going to see it firsthand. Nobody else will catch this. Nobody else would ever catch this because you have to have a pretty high level. Not only scam detector, you have to be a top pro in the markets, have a good understanding, especially of the financial crisis. So I'm going to show you guys something now. Most of you probably never saw it. I've actually done a few videos on this clown. I didn't know who he was a couple of years ago. Didn't know the guy, never heard of him. And because I don't watch stupid Hollywood movies, fictional movies. The Big Short. Like, you can't pay me to go and endure garbage like that. I'm the guy, the only guy they should have made a movie about. In fact, there's many dimensions to that, right? Of course, it kind of would reveal why I was banned, and it would expose everything, you see. So they wouldn't want that. It's not there's no drama there. But so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and actually review. I think there's two, maybe a stream on this guy and then a short video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play the video. It's short, actually. It's only about, I think, 5 or 6 minutes. And so you can kind of get a handle on what I was talking about when I first came across this guy. When I first came across this guy, just, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years ago, I already knew the guy's a clown, right? Because you all know, of course, some of you may not know, but he didn't predict the financial crisis. Folks, everyone that you have heard, and this is a fact, and I'll bet any amount of money in the world to anybody on this. Think about that. Any amount of money to anybody in the world, okay? Everyone that you have heard that has been credited with having predicted the financial crisis did not do it. Fact, write it down. Let me repeat. Everyone that you have heard that has supposedly been credited with having predicted the financial crisis, they didn't do it. Nobody did it but me. That's a fact. Write it the motherfuck down. $1 million. Boom, motherfucking boom. I've had a bet for 15 years. Okay? Now, this is a little bit different. I've got the leading track record on the financial crisis. It's in 2 books. Okay? Think about that for a second. So before we move on with this clown, and he's as much of a clown as he looks, by the way. You might be wondering, some of you might be wondering, and let me go ahead and let me find the video here. You might be wondering, well, how can you say that no one predicted the crisis but you? Who are you? You're a nobody, right? Of course, that's the typical stooge response. You know, the response from the sheep, the lemmings, who actually think the media is legitimate. And I'm not talking about, you know, mainstream versus alternative. All media is fucking shit. And it's all run by the same criminal fucking mafia. Okay? It's just like both political parties. You think there's a big difference, and there isn't. They're all on the same team, and they're there to fuck you. If you don't get that, wake the fuck up. Boom, motherfucking boom. So, how is it that I'm the only person that predicted the financial crisis? Folks, what's a prediction? What's a fucking prediction? Is a prediction a bet? Right? Maybe you made a bet a week ago or so, like I did. In fact, I'll go ahead and this is probably not a good example because I think it was pretty obvious. And that is, but it's one that comes to mind. And that is, I bought Oracle for the what is it, the the TikTok deal. Okay? Even though, I thought it was pretty much obvious that everyone knew that Oracle's probably going to get TikTok. But why didn't the share? I would notice the shares weren't moving, right? So I don't think it was official at that time, but I made a nice little trade, about 10%. Wasn't huge. I thought it was low risk, right? Because it had come down off of that big pop off of earnings, and so it did not factor in the TikTok deal. So because I made money off that trade, did I predict it? Did I predict that Oracle is going to get the rights to buy TikTok, which I don't even know if it's even been officially announced yet? But no, of course I didn't. I made a bet. Okay, I made a bet based upon some things I heard. Right, I didn't know what you're hearing now. Apparently, the deal is going to be valued at. I don't think Oracle has gotten it yet, but they're probably going to get it because they gave money to Trump. But apparently the deal is being valued at I don't know if it's official. I think it's a guess at $14 billion, which is probably a joke, right? So my point is that I didn't know any of this stuff. I just thought that Oracle had a pretty good shot of getting TikTok, and that was public knowledge, right? Right. So did I predict anything? I predicted nothing. Nothing. Okay? Similar to the financial crisis. Okay? All these guys they bet on junk bonds because they knew, like many people, that there certainly was a housing bubble. So if you have a housing bubble, what's going to happen? Eventually it's going to burst, and you're going to have at least a weak economy and probably a recession, okay? Because housing booms and busts are common. They occur every 20 to 30 years. So when you encounter one, then it's only natural to expect a weakness in the economy, probably a recession, okay? Given the extent and the size of the bubble that we had, I think it's safe to assume that the recession was likely, okay? So if you thought we were going to get a recession, the easy bet is to bet against the real estate related securities that were essentially junk bonds. They were low credit rated bonds, right? The subprimes. It's an easy call. You don't have to have a crisis, right? If you thought there was going to be a financial crisis, you understand, versus there was just a plain recession, a huge crisis, do you think you would have just stuck with the subprimes? No. You would have bet against the banks. You would have bet against the GSEs, Fannie and Freddie. You would have bet against the home builders, right? You would have bet against a lot. Guess what? I wrote in a book recommending to not only short the subprimes, but Fannie and Freddie, the AAA rated, the investment grade that no one thought could ever fail. I even talked about Countrywide, Washington Mutual, Lehman. Okay. I specifically recommended shorting General Electric and General Motors because I knew they had been transformed over the years into fucking banks. I guess no one else knew that. Okay? And of course the big banks. Not only did I write that, I did it before the crisis. So did these knuckleheads come out? I mean, they didn't even come out in advance and tell everyone about the subprimes, the easy bet. They waited until their trade panned out and they went to the media. They didn't predict jack shit. They made a fucking bet. The end. Okay? If you all don't understand that, then there's something wrong with you. Now, if you didn't understand it before I explained it, that's fine. That's, I understand that because you just believe in the media. You're not questioning things. You don't have maybe the sophistication in the markets to understand. But now there's no excuse. Yet you're still hearing that these clowns predicted the financial crisis. Michael Burry, Steve Eisman, Kyle Bass, John Paul, none of them did. None of them. Fact, write it down. And why are you being lied to still? Why? Think about it. Does anyone know why? Anybody want to chime in? Give me an answer. You get an A for the answer. A+. Get the right answer. Some of you are here who know me, but follow me, you should know already. Anybody know the right answer why the media continues to, even 15 years after they claimed all these guys in some fictional fucking movie? Michael Lewis is a fraud. He wrote fiction and he dressed it up as nonfiction. Why do they continue to promote these guys as having predicted the financial crisis? Folks, the media always does this. You see, the media is always creating supermen. You know, I did a video. It's on this channel. It's called Superman. Jim Rogers is a Superman. You see, I think it's above the heads of most of you YouTube people. It's above you. It's way above you. You don't understand it. But now maybe you understand it. The song was chosen, and it's a corny little, what is it? What's the bubblegum pop style? It's chosen because, and you can see, you know, it shows Jim Rogers' track record. And I use him as an example to show you how the media always creates supermen. And they tell you that their track record's great, they're legendary, they're amazing. I call it the Britney Spears effect, whereby, you know, they create Britney Spears. She's not really a good singer, whatever. But they keep throwing you Britney Spears, right? They throw you Britney Spears. After a while, you think that she's a great singer and she's great. Every time they mention her, they have an interview, you line up. You want to listen, you want to see, you want to read about it. Because it sells advertisements. Ad-based content is a fucking scam. Got it? Been saying this for more than 15 years. People don't get it still. Anything with ads linked to the media is a scam. Okay? Let me give you an example. Let me show you here, by the way. You can just read this. The financial media scam. You can just read how the financial media scam works. Okay? So the point is that the media has created these supermen of the financial crisis. They're not going to let it go. Why? Because you believe Michael Burry is a great investor. You believe he predicted the financial crisis. Neither of those claims are true. Michael Burry is not a great investor, and he didn't predict a financial crisis. Anybody want to debate me on that? Even Mr. Burry? Come over here, little boy. Get over here, bitch. You got it? Who do you think is going to stand up against me and fucking win when we're talking about the capital markets? When we're talking about the truth? Huh? Nobody. Nobody. You show me, bring me somebody. See, they want to create this is the whole thing with the media. Why do you think, have you ever wondered why all these fucking idiots that are promoted in the media as experts, they're broken clocks and clowns and con artists and idiots? Have you ever wondered why? Like, wait a second, this guy seems to be wrong. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been followed his track record, but it seems like he's never really right. It's not an accident, folks. It's intentional. The media puts these jugheads there. These jugheads, they just blabber and flap their mouths because they get promotion and they get the perception of being an expert, so they can sell you their bullshit. Buy my book. Invest with me. People go on perception. The media wins because they put your dumb ass on the wrong side of the trade. You got it? Why do you think virtually every single person that the financial media has on a regular basis interviews is a fucking loser? Can you name to me a single individual, just a single one out of the hundreds that they interview on a regular basis that's legitimate, that's got a good track record, that provides good information? A single person. Anybody. There's nobody. There's nobody that I mean, if anybody knows it's me, I mean, I follow all this stuff, the trackers. I could miss it, I could be wrong. There could be somebody. Let me know. I'll evaluate it. Is there a single person? Even if there were one or two or three, it's not enough. It's going to be a tiny fraction, you see. But I can't think of anyone. So that's why even today, they're these guys are living off this myth, right? Just like Peter Schiff, remember that? For years and years, everyone thought he predicted the financial crisis, and he rode that wave and made all this money through promotion, speaking fees, selling books, and all this bullshit. And the guy was completely wrong. He got everything wrong. He continues to get everything wrong. Take a look at my channel. I've shown videos on the guy, shown his funds, complete fucking disaster. This is what the media does. And nobody in the world except me has exposed it. Nobody has done it. Why is that? Because the people that know what's going on, they're not going to tell you. I show this in the video when I'm going to show you guys. You see, Eisman a Big Short. You see this. So this is the whole intro line. He's a big short. I mean, think about this. I mean, think how fucking stupid this is. Have any of you ever stopped to think this for a second? Wait a second. So this is supposed to be a legitimate fund manager, and they're saying this is he was in a movie. This is you know this guy because he was portrayed in a movie. I mean, isn't that a little weird? Like, is that all he has to fucking show you? Show me the beef, bitch. You understand? Now, I mean, Warren Buffett's the most overrated investor in world history, most likely, I would say. But it's still, I mean, they've got his performance. At least they got his performance to show, okay? They've got something there, right? What's this guy? Why are they linking him to some fictional movie? You know why? Because he's a fucking clown. He's got nothing. He's got no substance. He's got no fuck. He don't got the beef. Boom. You got it? Think about it. So he wants to tell you he's long GM and he's short Tesla. Okay? And you can just go ahead and read this here. And I'm going to go over this this annotated image. I've got about 10,000 of these annotated images in the image library on my site. It's a very good learning tool. One image, and you learn a lot. But you can just read here. There's probably some typos and stuff because, this is not edited. It's just do it on the Word Paint. Tried to censor it here. Here's the point. I used this image for a video I'm going to show you that I made, I don't know, a few years ago, about 4 years ago or so. And why am I showing this image? Because you see all these headlines here? The Big Short, Steve Eisman is now short Tesla. Steve Eisman, a Big Short, fame, shorts Tesla, right? So I did not cut and paste. I kid you not. I did not cut and paste. These headlines were on the same page, okay? Take a look. You've got 1, 2, 4. You've got 4 headlines out of, no, I'm sorry, 5. You've got 5 headlines out of 8. 5 out of 8 are telling you that this Big Short guy, so think about this. So this is appealing to the sheep, the lemmings, who watch this stupid movie. Oh, he's a legend. Oh, I saw him in the movie. Yeah. You understand? So they got the audience of fucking idiots. And then they're plastering the fuck out of it. Once again, this was not cut and paste. This was on the same page on Yahoo Finance. Okay? And you can see in the red box I've never seen anything like this. So what's going on? So first of all, they're luring the dumb money, the dipshits who believe a fictional movie by fraudster Michael Lewis is real. And it's not. It's fiction. I didn't watch it. I don't need to. I already know. Okay? So the second thing they're doing is they got the crowd, then they're giving you the dumb fucking trade. You see that? So they want you to think this great guy, you think he's a great investor. You think he predicted the financial crisis. No, he's not a great investor. No, he didn't predict the financial crisis, but the media tells you so, and you think so. And so you may short Tesla now, or maybe you own it and you're going to sell it, and you're going to buy GM because he bought GM. Well, if you follow that, just like almost all the time in the media, you follow these fucking jugheads that they promote as experts. And guess what, by the way? They're almost always fucking related. Why is that? Isn't that discrimination? Right? Guess what happened? I'm going to show you a chart here. You can see. Okay? You can see. So, you could read this here. Okay? So here's where he shorts Tesla. See that? You can see he shorts Tesla in 2018. Okay? And he shorts it again. And he finally gets blown the fuck out. And he has to get out. And he basically says, "Oh, I'm getting out because the shareholders they're cult-like." So he makes up an excuse. Hey, dumbass, you're supposed to be a top expert. You should know how to short a fucking stock. And guess what? Shorting stocks is not just looking at fundamentals. Shorting stocks oftentimes focuses on sentiment. You understand what that is, Mr. Eisman? It's kind of like Bill Ackman thinking he can take a short in Herbalife just because he thinks it's a pyramid scheme, and he thinks because of that it's going to get taken down. He doesn't understand that that's not necessarily true, right? I've gone over that before. These guys are so fucking stupid, man. Really, they don't know how to short stocks. I'm not going to get more into that, but you can just read all this. Let me show you another chart here. So if you listen, so think about it. Understand. See how compelling of a sell that was, right? They pitch you this guy, a big short. He's a genius, right? He's a great investor, and he's shorting Tesla, and you should too. Okay? Take a look at the results. Okay? Take a look. So you can see Tesla went up 755%. Okay? GM was down 4%. See that? You see that? Okay. So let me play this video for you here. Did anybody notice a few days ago how, if you went on one of these websites, these financial websites, to look for quotations, how they have all the bullshit news, the headlines. Did you notice the typical, and they have this like every 2 or 3 weeks, they'll have some pinhead trying to pitch his game, right? David Einhorn, Bill Ackman, Kyle Bass, Jim Chanos, right? David Tepper, and all these numbskulls. By now you kind of see what the media does with these guys, right? It's pretty obvious. Well, did you notice the most recent one, the most recent scam, the most recent media pitch, the most recent media operation to manipulate a security? And they do this with their little fun buddies. Steve Eisman shorts Tesla. Did you notice that? Plastered all over. And you've seen this by now, right? You see the repeating pattern. You see how the media operates. They'll get one of these stories and one of these guys, and they'll plaster the living shit out of this headline all over every single financial media site, even sites that don't focus on financial media but are in the network, like ABC, so on and so forth. And they do this because they try and manipulate the stock. And they're trying to also, they work together. It's kind of like when they interview these numbskulls, these broken clock charlatans, right, that are always wrong.
And you say, well, gosh, they're always wrong. Why do they keep interviewing them? Well, because, guys like Peter Schiff that talk about the dollar collapsing to zero and you got to be in foreign currencies, that obviously boosts the ad spots that these media companies have reserved for Forex companies, right? You got it? So the media will boost these guys. They'll work with the tribesmen. And you'll notice every single one of these people, by the way, that's always spooking their short positions or this or that. Well, folks, they're all that's a fact. You take a look. The reason why they partner up with their buddies is because, think about it, if you got all the media guys involved, and all these guys are connected, you have to understand that. There's a lot of insider trading going on. You don't think these media guys are involved in insider trading? If you don't think so by now, then you need to open your eyes and smell the coffee. Read the writing on the wall, right? They have their buddies, their family members, their friends who they tip off. So, and we're talking about this whole pitch going through PR agencies. Think about it. How is it possible that one pitch hits every single financial news company and it's plastered for days? Isn't there something going on there? Well, I wanted to show you in specific this image. So let's go now and take a look at what I'm talking about. This is from Yahoo Finance a couple of days ago. This was not manipulated. This was the exact headlines. So you can see they have 5 headlines within an eyes view, a screen view of Eisman shorting Tesla. I mean, think about this. What the hell's going on, right? And of course you get a link to each of these different sites, Financial Times, Investopedia, Bloomberg, another one on Bloomberg. Does anybody know who Steve Eisman is? Well, I didn't really know myself because I don't pay attention to the media. But apparently he's this guy that was featured in Michael Lewis's bullshit book, bullshit movie, inaccurate. As I pointed out, Michael Lewis was hyped up because he was going to represent the narrative, the historical narrative. His propaganda it will serve later on when everyone forgets the real details. It will serve as a historical piece, and it will serve as an inaccurate historical piece. He was rewarded by his friends. That's why all his shit is promoted. Well, it turns out that Eisman, okay, he's one guy that shorted the subprimes. I've talked about that before. Not a big deal at all. Eisman has been credited as one of the few people who predicted the financial crisis because he shorted the subprimes, which, of course, as I've mentioned in some recent audios, anybody could have made a bet. Doesn't mean you predicted the financial crisis, right? You understand? There's a big difference between making a bet and writing a detailed PhD-like thesis, which is what I did. There's a huge difference. And in fact, as I've mentioned several times in the past, of course, the subprimes were basically junk bonds. They were sub-investment grade. The individuals who received mortgages had bad credit. And so if you want to bet against a weakened economy, an economy that perhaps might experience an economic contraction, well, it's a no-brainer that you want to bet against low credit rated debt, because the low credit rated debt is going to suffer a spike in defaults during a weak economy, right? This is common sense. So betting against the subprimes is not a big deal. If you really knew what was going on, you'd take it a step further and you'd short Fannie and Freddie, which were the investment grade, the government-backed entities. Nobody in the world went so far as to even mention those entities, the GSEs, as they are known, as a big risk, except for, of course, moi, 2 years before the financial crisis. If you look at all these stories, aside from the fact that Eisman is a clown and he has done shit since the financial crisis, his performance sucks. But the most important point here, folks, aside from the fact that he doesn't really have any credibility at all, but notice how the media is painting out this fictional Disneyland Hollywood portrayal. Oh, the guy from The Big Short, the big superstar, the guy that did this, the guy that did this, and they write a little piece about how great he is, right? And then they want to convince the suckers, wow, he's shorting Tesla. Maybe it's going to blow up. He's a genius, right? Well, aside from everything else I pointed out, here's the main issue. The point is this, folks. Subconsciously, you're already thinking that he thinks Tesla is going to collapse, right? That's the picture that's been painted, right? They talk about him betting on the subprimes. It blew up. He's betting on Tesla. They don't tell you what he intends to do with that short position. Is it a short-term trade? Does he want a 10% gain, 15%, 20%? You assume, as everybody else would, subconsciously, it's normal human nature to assume because they're not telling you what exactly he intends to do. What's the downside he expects? Because they're not going into that, you assume it's lights out for Tesla. You understand? That's a huge issue, right? So if they're not telling you exactly what he's looking for, it's complete deception. Anyway, so I wanted to point that out. That's the first thing. Hopefully you all understand the importance. I mean, folks, you think I have nothing to do with my time but to find this stuff and to write all this down? This is extraordinarily important. Why? Why am I going through and hammering the media and showing you examples of this stuff? Why? You know why? I'm going to spill the beans today. I've never spilt the beans. You know what the next level is, folks? The next level is exploiting the media's bullshit so you're one step ahead of them. Once you understand the deviant psychology that these morons use, at some point you can actually go into that strategy and use the media to make money. Now, I don't do that. I don't delve towards that, but I could if I wanted to. It's just something intellectually that I'm not interested in doing, to be honest with you, not for my own benefit anyway. But I am arming you guys. I'm giving you the arsenal gradually, this education, so you understand exactly what's going on, so that when you see a media story, you're going to know just like that. You're going to know the whole fucking deal, and you're going to verify it. You're going to say, okay, this is what they're doing. The guy's a clown. I'm sure he's failed, this and that. They're not talking about it. Let's confirm it. And you go through, you're going to confirm everything, and you're going to see how they're manipulating the stock. That's the more advanced reason. Of course, the first and foremost is I want people to understand the media. With the media, unless you're really on top of things, and I mean really on top of things, you're going to lose money. The end. And of course, I bring all this up because it gives you a good perspective as to what's going on with the media and all this bullshit. You know, anybody makes a trade. Oh, wow, he's brilliant. Let's look at your full track record. So, once again, folks, I'm the only person that really predicted the financial crisis. That's a fact.
There you have it, folks. There you have it. So let's now go through and take a look at, I can't say what I normally call this, just like I can't say what I normally call YouTube. But Wikipedia is pretty much a fucking scam portal. But for something like a bio with references, and I've already checked into this, it's okay for that. So let's take a look here. So you can see he left his fund, his firm, Front Point Partners, because the firm was apparently engaged or allegedly in insider trading, and he knew it was going to be lights out for him, even though apparently, I don't know this, but apparently the allegations of insider trading were not related to his fund. But it didn't matter. Clients were withdrawing their capital. So apparently he left and started in 2012 his own fund. Now this is interesting. 23 million in seed capital. Think about that for a second. Now, you all probably don't know much about the industry, but think about this for a second. This should be pretty easy to understand. Here's a guy who supposedly, well, I mean, I don't know how much profit he made for his fund, right? But based upon what this his legendary status is created by the media and Michael Lewis, he should have made a pretty good payday, right? Huge bonus. He should have a lot of money. 23 million. Like, let me just explain something to you people. I said this 10 years ago. I wouldn't start, like, if somebody offered me to start a fund, I wouldn't even start one for, like, 20 million's a joke. For me, I would have to start off with at least 500 million, or I wouldn't even waste my fucking time. Okay. My point is that he's been in the industry for quite a long time, a very long time. He's got a lot of connections, right? And aside from his own money, which, I mean, 23 million should be his money. I mean, I would hope that the guy, if he made this great call, he's been in the industry so long, he should have a net worth of at least 75, 100 million, right? So he can't put in 23, right? So what's the deal? I mean, 23 million seat, I would say probably he put in a couple of million, and then, clients who thought he was great and other people put in money. But think about it. Still, that's all he could come up with is 23 million from a guy who got all this attention in a movie. Like, he's a great legend. The reason why, folks, he didn't get a lot of money to start his fund, you know why? Because intelligent investors knew the guy's a joke. Okay? They knew. Just like the same thing with all these other guys that were credited with predicting the financial crisis. Michael Burry. These guys are clowns. I mean, do you know that Michael Burry still, I don't think, well, I haven't checked lately, but I think I checked about a year ago, he wasn't managing enough money to even cross the threshold, which requires you to report to the SEC the specifics about your assets under management. I think you have to be managing, I think it's like 200 million or something like that. He wasn't even managing that. I mean, think about it. He's a great investor, right? No. You understand what I'm saying? And of course, these days, Michael Burry is used as the whole, oh, Michael Burry, and the guy's a clown, right? And the amazing thing is that these days, Michael Burry he's kind of using that whole media Superman promotion bullshit as a way to get them, to kind of ride the wave. So the media is promoting the stocks that he pitches, and when the suckers buy the stocks, well, I'm sure he gets ready to sell. You understand? But so that's the first point I wanted to bring up here. Is it's very weird that he could only start out with a fund of $23 million. It's very strange. It's very small, considering he's been in the industry for decades, considering he got all this mass exposure from some Hollywood movie, considering that a lot of people out there actually think that he predicted the financial crisis, actually think that he's a great investor. How come he only got 23 million? That's very weird, okay? But it's encouraging. So you can see here that his performance sucked. Okay, his first year, he returned less than 4%. His second year, he returned less than 11%, which was less than the market. And he gave it up the following year. He was out of the business. So he failed. He failed. Okay. So what did he do? He took a job at a little boutique, Neuberger Berman. Okay, little boutique shop. Okay. And apparently he was fired for posting a tweet about, as you would have, no surprise, about Palestine. And let's see where it is. And it's amazing. It's kind of funny here because, take a look here. most of the entry on his Wikipedia page is his campaign against for-profit colleges. So he's making presentations in 2009 and 10. Hey, Eisner, I exposed for-profit colleges as a scam in my 2006 book. So, I mean, what is this? This is fucking nonsense. So you can see here, 2023. In late 2023, Eisner requested that his family name be removed from a scholarship at his alma mater, UPenn, in response to what he described as anti-Semitic sentiments expressed during pro-Palestinian protests. Speaking to CNBC, he said that any student who holds up a sign that says "Free Palestine from the river to the sea" should be expelled. What? What? Like, can someone explain that to me? What's wrong with saying "Free Palestine from the river to the sea"? I don't understand that. They should be expelled, right? I guess in a country that's controlled by a bunch of people that are dual citizens, you're not allowed to say "Free Palestine," right? I mean, don't you see what's going on here, folks? Isn't this more than bizarre, right? You know, these Wall Street guys, you notice Bill Ackman and all these other fucking clowns, they're taking the money, the billions that they got unfairly, maybe some of them illegally, right? You know where the Wall Street money comes from. We know Bill Ackman's a stock manipulator, right? And they're taking that money that they got. Remember, these people didn't really earn money. These Wall Street hedge fund, they didn't earn that money. They clipped fees off of other people's money. You understand? It's not like they built something that everybody needs, wants, and bought, right? They parasitized themselves into other people's money. And they exploited the weaknesses in the hedge fund structure to game the system. The hedge fund industry is a scam, basically, for many reasons. It's a complete fucking scam. I could go and talk about that for quite a long time. You can bring anybody you want. You go find somebody in the industry. Come talk to me live on Neutral Platform. Okay, they're not going to come because they don't want people to see live how I chew them apart and expose the entire industry. You see, in detail, because it would be a disaster for them and their industry, because they're gaming the system and it's really, they're defrauding the hedge fund industry by and large. I'm not going to say every hedge fund, but by and large is defrauding many people, many individuals who don't even know they're in hedge funds. I'm talking pension plans. I've talked about that many times before. The compensation is a joke. It's ridiculous. The benchmarks are often ridiculous, and it's set up basically as a license to steal, quite frankly. So anyway, he tweeted something about, I don't know, I think he was celebrating Palestinians being killed or something like that, and so they had to fire him. Okay, you can look it up for yourself. So, I mean, I can take a look at it right now. I'll do a quick search right now. Okay, let's do it here. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So, September 2024, following a controversial social media post, in response to a graphic depicting destruction in Gaza, Eisman commented, "We are celebrating." I mean, what a fucking sociopath. What a fucking sociopath. He sees destruction in an area where it's known that genocide is occurring. And he says, "We are celebrating." Wow. So, anyway, Since that time, he started a YouTube channel. That's right. You can go visit. You can go to Steve and tell him I said hi. Tell him I said anytime he wants to debate me, let's go. He ain't gonna show up, folks. He's a lightweight compared to me. You understand that? He ain't gonna show up. Okay, but tell him if he wants to interview me. Um, you know, I might let him interview me, even though his channel's small. Um, but it's called the Real Eisman Playbook podcast. So we're going to take a look at that now. Okay, going to take a look at that, and I'm going to go over a couple of. Now I haven't seen these videos. I just watched like the first couple of minutes, and that's why I had to do this. I had to do this to kind of piss me off a little bit because I think he's deceiving people, and he's trying to ride the bandwagon because he's out of work now. Steve, come on, dude. You've been in the business for decades. You're like what, 64, something like that, dude. Don't you have the bread to retire? What are you doing, man? What's going on? So Steve, here's it. So Steve Eisman, you see that? He's got 37,000 subscribers. Steve Eisman shares the real story behind predicting the 2008 crash. So he's saying, he predicted it. He wants to give you the real story. Let's take a look here before we let's take a look at his